Hey, all you wonderful worshipers, Dan Shields here, the church guitarist. Hey, I haven't done a video in a while. Sorry, I've been out of the country for a while, just getting back into the swing of things. And then I brought back a flu with me from being over in Europe. But I'm back in action now, so hopefully I'll be able to make some more videos here. Hey, today what I wanted to talk about, and this is not a really planned out lesson. Hold on one second. I'm going to talk about how to really make melodic parts on your instrument. You know, so most of the time in worship settings today, we're copying other people's parts, which is great. You know, so you learn a lot of stuff from copying other people's parts. But today I wanted to talk about how to make some melodic ideas. And just to know, I'm not going to be using typical worshipy type of sounds because I just want you to hear the parts themselves. But what I want to go through is the idea of triads and how to use triads. Now, almost all of you know what triads are. They're 3-note chords, and almost all of our chords that we play in worship are really just 3-note chords. So for instance, if I look at a big old G chord here, you know, I've got the notes G, B, D, and then I have the notes G, D, and G, or G, B, G. So it's just 3 notes. You know, if I play my C chord, you know, I've got C, E, G, C, E, G. Again, just 3 notes. So one of the most important things we can do, and actually I'm going to talk about 2 really important things, is to know your triads and then also to know your scales around them. And I know that might sound like a lot, but it's not complicated. Let me show you some examples. And the reason this is so important is once you learn these little shapes, they're the same all over the neck always. So for instance, if I'm in the key of G and I'm just going from this G chord to a C chord, I can look on the top 3 strings and I can find my G chord triad, which is G, B, and D. So if I went up here from my G note, my B note, and my D note, so there's G, B, D. If I went up to the next, they call them inversions, it would just be putting the G on top and it would be down here, B, D, and G. And then the third version of it, because there's only 3 versions of a triad, D, G, and B. So once I know these 3 shapes, I'm really a long way into figuring out how to make parts. Then the second step on this is you figure out your next chord. And I would do this just as 2 chords initially. I know chords, you know, normally the worship tunes, they'll go through the axis chords, you know, 1, 4, 5, and 6. But this is an important thing to just do on 2 chords to start off with. So let's say I start off with my G chord here, and then I'm going to go here to my nearest C chord. And if you see this big version of the C chord, E, G, and C are my notes. Again, I've got C, E, G, same shape you saw for that G chord, and then E, G, C, same shape as you see for that G chord, and then finally G, C, E, same shape that you saw on the G chord. Only 3 shapes for your major chord, 3 shapes for your minor chords. So super important. It's not a lot of information to learn. Now, one of the first best things that you can do, I think really for you to see this, is just play through those G chords. Incidentally, one of my daily workouts, I forget what book this is in, it might be in book 5, which starts getting a little bit complicated, but that's one of the main things that it does. But you can just do that same thing. So you can go do G chord, 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 and then you can do the same thing for C chord, C chord, C chord, C chord. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because the way you make melody on the instrument, and I just put out a, on my other channel, Dan Shields Guitar, I just put out a thing called Target Tones and how to make melodic playing. You might want to check that out. But basically what you want to do is you want to fill in a scale, and then you want to land on the downbeat of one of the chord tones on whatever chord you're going to. So if I'm going from this G chord here, let's say, and then I'm going up to the C chord here, what I want to do is I want to find my major scale. So my major scale here looks like this. And then it goes to here. Now, if I just did straight 8th notes, maybe I would start from the note, I'm going to just sort of randomly do this. If I did 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I landed there, and then I wanted to land on my C chord on the next chord, I would go to the nearest note from this chord tone into one of these 3 chord tones. So here's my little melody. And you can hear right away it sort of outlines that C chord sound. Or let's say I did the same thing. Then I would go to the nearest chord tone on the C chord. So it's, and you can hear again that outlines it. And you have endless interpretations of that. So let me actually, I made a loop earlier. I'll just play over top of this and show this to you. So if I'm here, G chord, C chord, and here's my scale, right? And you can just practice going up and down this initially. Then what I would do is I would target each of the notes on that C chord. So watch, I'm going to play the same line going up, and then I'll just target and drop down onto the C chord. And again. And again. And you can hear they all work really well. Now, once you get it in one position, take it down to the next position, into my C chord, back to the G chord, and then I find my scale, then you can start mixing up the different positions. And then same thing here. All right, so you get the idea of what I'm doing. And then you can do that both for the major chords, and you can do it for minor chords. So, let's say that I was doing, A minor to D. D minor, I mean. A minor, D minor, A minor, D minor. And same thing, you work those little scale patterns in between those. And that's really the beginning key to really getting like parts that are actual parts. That sound really melodic and will work in a song. And that's for songs that, if you don't have a part that you're copying or something like that. But that'll really help you, hopefully, and help you to be able to see how the guitar neck's put together a little bit. But seeing those little triad shapes with that little scale shape is super helpful. And again, not to press my stuff. There's lots of good material out there to learn it. But if you went through book 1 of the Guitar Daily Workout, it would really show you all of those scales and how they sort of form together in a hole across the neck. It'd be really helpful for you to be able to make good melodic patterns and see your whole neck put together. So hopefully that helps you. And until next time, God bless.